We all know life is surreal and has some jagged, rare evaluative alterations up its sleeve, with a tendency to shock, confuse, and bewilder you. Are you ready for it? As here comes the most unexpected ways animals mutated and lived in the world. Bald bear. No one in the Animal Defenders International could believe their eyes when they spotted this bear in a circus in Peru. The poor creature was so badly abused that it lost all of its fur due to stress and malnutrition. It looked like the bear had never smiled in its life. The bear was named CHOLITA, and it was immediately rescued out of the vicinity and was taken to a sanctuary where it was well taken care of. Even after the rescue, the bear was so afraid, insecure, and mentally unstable that vets had to take extremely careful routes to the recovery of CHOLITA. Experts say that the bear will finally find her peace steadily and slowly, but she won't ever be able to make it into the wild on her own, and will probably spend all of her life in the sanctuary. Before we move any further, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you can keep watching our amazing content. Grumpy Face Tiger. This tiger is named Kenny, and it is one of the most grumpiest tigers in the world. But there's a reason behind these cute expressions. This white tiger was born with Down syndrome that affected his facial features. Due to a high demand for white tigers, Kenny was the result of a failed selective inbreeding with a limited number of white tigers in captivity. Unfortunately, Kenny passed away a few years ago, but as long as he lived, he was loved by everyone. Baboon with alopecia. Where lions are flaunting their gorgeous mane, there are some animals that can suffer from alopecia that causes the poor creatures to lose all of their hair. Alopecia is an autoimmune disorder that causes the body's immune system to attack the hair follicles, causing hair to fall out. Guess which animal this is? A giant mouse, a dog, or a monkey? Well, this is a baboon without any hair on its body. When I first saw this clip, I was unable to recognize this poor baboon. Horse with no eyes. This horse lost both of its eyes due to equine recurrent uveitis and suffered from panic attacks. For him, new sounds or even unknown smells were threatening. Imagine living a life with the concept of being blind. I'm sure you will not want to even think about it. But can you feel the pain of this poor horse who's living and has to live his entire life with this nightmare? But thanks to its trainer, who taught the animal to live an independent life, and now it could be seen enjoying a dust bath and roaming confidently with its fellows. The horse has 3 world records to its name, too. Mutant headless frog. Moving on, let me show you people a real live Chucky with no head. Well, while on a jog, a man stumbled upon this bizarre frog in a junkyard. Pretty terrifying and creepy. The poor toad was hopping around with no face or head. And while no one is sure how it eats or ended up in such a vulnerable state, the reason it is able to survive without a head is because it still possesses a brain case. Did you just see how it escaped into the bench when this guy actually poked it? CWD in deers. Chronic wasting disease. Next time, if you see a deer head like this, or with a body like this, or them simply running frantically in circles, unable to focus or stand on their legs, understand that they are suffering from CWD. The disease causes damage to the portions of the brain which leads to progressive loss of body condition, behavioral changes, excessive salivation, and death. Suffering from CWD might be the ugliest way to die for an animal, and it typically affects moose, deer, and other farm animals. Currently, there is no cure, no vaccine, and no testing available for the infection, and the infected animal typically dies within 18 to 24 months of infection. Bear with swollen tongue. A giant, lumpy, pink melon-like tongue protruding from the mouth like a bizarre organ. This unusual condition was observed in Nyan, an 18-year-old moon bear. The oversized tongue was the result of a congenital disease that made it difficult for the poor animal to eat or even close its mouth. all he could do was walk and sweep up germs and accumulate scars. Thankfully, a 4-hour-long surgery was performed to remove 6.5 pounds of tissue from his mouth, and after that, Nyan showed a remarkable recovery. The reason for the tongue's growth is still a mystery. Hunchback dog. This next dog has gained notoriety due to his unusual mutation, and the cause is still unknown. His name is Quasimodo, and he suffers from the short spine syndrome, which has left him with a hunched back. The poor canine is about a third of the size, and he has virtually no neck to support his full-sized head. He was brought into a stray animal center in 2016, and has since been the apple of its keeper's eyes. So far, he's living his life with his twisted and gnarly spine. Let us hope that doctors will find a cure for his condition, and that he will be able to live a normal dog life. Hairless chimp. If you think life is hard, try being a chimpanzee, where a chimp named Mongo at the Twycross Zoo had to work hard to be accepted by the group, only because he, along with his father Jumbo, suffered from alopecia, a general medical term for hair loss. But since, during a routine checkup in 2016, Mongo failed to come out of anesthesia, he said his goodbyes at the age of 22. However, Jumbo is still alive, bossing around being the alpha male in the group of chimpanzees. Sharks living in volcano. In 2015, an unusual sighting was caught when some scientists during an expedition found sleeper sharks living inside on the most active underwater volcanoes on Earth, located near the Solomon Islands. According to research, the reason why these sharks are able to survive in water with a high temperature and acidity lies in their short caudal fin, allowing them to store energy for fast and violent bursts, hence enabling them to tolerate extreme environments, even if it contains volcanic rock fragments, sulfur, or other particulate matter in the plumes of superheated acidic water. Elephant with no trunk. We all know elephant's trunk is one of the strongest parts of their body. Now, with that being said, have you ever seen an elephant with no trunk? This heartbreaking footage from Kruger National Park in South Africa shows a baby elephant wandering around with most parts of its trunk missing. However, the workers at the safari are not aware of how it got lost. They doubt it may have been attacked by a predator like a lion or crocodile. But while losing the trunk sums up to reducing an elephant's chances of surviving in the wild, this little champion seems to be doing more than just fine. Animals of Chernobyl. After giving a second chance at life, the lethal radiation of Chernobyl decided to mold some of the animals into strange-looking mutants. From odd-looking spiderwebs to bugs with abnormal patterns and birds with deformed beaks and dual heads. There are even mushrooms growing out of nowhere just by absorbing the radiation. According to a biologist, Timothy Mousseau, while studying the lasting effects of radiation on these poor animals, these creatures were lucky enough to survive, while many others could not sustain the toxic effects of radiation. Human-faced pig. A creepy piglet was born somewhere in South America, and people are calling it a human-pig hybrid. But you and I know that's not possible. I mean, come on guys, we're better than that. In the early hours of the day, the owner of this farm heard his pigs oinking like they'd seen a butcher. Upon investigating, the farmer saw a newborn pig that had a human-like face, and all the other pigs were covering it. This poor piglet was born with a birth defect called cyclopia, just like the kitten we talked about earlier. Octopig. In the Sichuan province of China, the birth of a really cute but quite unusual pig shocked a farmer. This piglet is born with 6 legs and 8 feet. 2 of the extra legs are fully developed, while the extra legs on the front only have the feet. This is probably the case of conjoined twins, where only one of the twins was able to fully develop and the other became a parasitic twin. Overall, this tiny piggy is actually pretty active and healthy, and is learning to walk with all the extra sets of limbs. Woody giraffe. There's a giraffe in Kruger National Park that looks like it has wood coming out of its body. This poor animal is suffering from papillomavirus, which has caused these massive tumors to form on its body. This skin disease is not life-threatening, but it can be painful and can hinder certain movements. These warts have definitely changed the appearance of this giraffe. It looks more like a tree than an animal. Imagine how painful it must be to fight while having these tumors on your body. Two-nosed dog. I think we've seen enough creepy mutations and disfigurations. Let's move on to one of the less creepy ones, and more adorable ones. This is Toby, an Australian Shepherd with two noses. Two noses means you get double the boobs. It's quite trippy to look at Toby. I mean, he looks like he's splitting from the center. Both of his noses work, and it helps him in finding his favorite ball easily. This mutation has really made him a super dog indeed. Mutant headless moose. Next on the list of mutated animals is this creature running wildly in a snowy wilderness. From the height and stature of it, it looks like a moose but with no head. Now what kind of a mutation is that? Well, we did our research, and just like an entry of a headless camel featured in our other video, this is quite a possibility that this moose was running with his head tilted to the other side. This posture gave the illusion of it being headless. What do you think about it? Is that an optical illusion like the camel, or a real thing? Franken-RABBIT. Sweet niblets, what's the matter with this rabbit? Please tell me it's not turning into a zombie? Gosh, turns out it's not. This bunny is just suffering from a gruesome disease, which has earned him the title Frankenstein, the scariest rabbit in the world. The disorder has bloomed so much that you can see that there are spikes that protrude from its head. Many people believe that he might have been exposed to the human papillomavirus, which causes tumors to grow on or near the animal's head. In this case, the tumors had become so large that they interfered with the rabbit's ability to eat, eventually causing it to starve to demise. Mutant monkey. If this little monkey's face doesn't scream mutation, then I don't know what else will. I mean, this guy can actually star in a horror film. Look how happy the little stump is with his afternoon snack. The moment his video went up, his spectators were left perplexed. So far, no one knows what's wrong with him or if he's even real. While there's another that might look a lot like they're not real, they are very real. These are white-faced saki monkeys, a rare kind of resident of the Brazilian rainforest remote part. The odd thing is that their head is all bushy, while their body is bare naked and hairless. And did I mention their tail? These bozos have unusually long tails. Some experts even call them flying monkeys, as they can jump almost 23 feet in the air and rarely walk on the ground. Cool, right? One-eyed goat. Wait, where is this goat's other eye gone? I know it looks really eerie, but the poor guy was born this way, and it even had residents of Assam, India, biting their nails at its existence. Well, the vets concluded that it's suffering from a disorder called cyclopia, and its specific reason is still unknown. All that can be inferred is that its right and left hemispheres do not separate properly, which led to the birth of the mythical creature-like animal. The worst part is that these pitiful creatures go through a painful existence, and this miracle goat also made it only to its first birthday. Two-legged lamb. It's impossible to imagine a goat walking on two legs, but just check this mutated lamb from China, who has skillfully managed to walk on its two forelegs after it was born, missing its hind ones. According to the local vets, the mother goat may have been injured in the abdomen, possibly during a fight, and gave birth to this handicapped lamb. But thankfully, the next day, this lamb was able to stand on its own two legs, and later it learned to walk on its two forelegs. Three-eyed cat. Having a cat with real wings might not be a real thing, but this three-eyed cat is not fake. And no, I'm not talking about this three-eyed cat. This one's just nicely edited. I'm talking about this kitten. This kitten was born with a weird third eyeball. This is a unique birth deformity that causes the cat with two eyes merging into one in the same eye socket. This defect is so rare that there's no research on why it happens or an estimate of how often cats are born with the third eye. One-eyed kitty. If a three-eyed cat was not spooky enough for you, then have a look at this one-eyed cat. Meet Clyde the Cyclops, the one-eyed Bengal kitten. Clyde's birth shocked everyone in the veterinarian's operation theater, including the owners who had brought their pregnant Bengal cat after it began experiencing difficulties while giving birth. Unfortunately, the little guy passed away a few moments after its birth, like most of the animals with cyclocephaly or cyclopia. It's time for today's open discussion. 3 female bears named Dolores, Bianca, and Lolita were suspected of an unusual disease after losing nearly all of their fur coats. The incident took place in November 2009 in a zoo in the eastern German city of Leipzig, where one expert suggested it could be because of changes in climatic conditions and the diet of the bears, whose native habitat is South America. However, apart from getting bald, all 3 of them suffer from itchiness as well, with animal keepers applying ointments to soothe their skin. Frank and Louie. No matter how many eyes these kitties have, they got nothing on Frank and Louie. Frank and Louie is a Janus cat, also called the two-faced cat. This cat has entered the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest surviving two-faced cat. When Frank and Louie was born, the doctors were not sure if he was going to make it, but beating all the odds, this kitty survived and passed away at the age of 15. Janus cats are believed to be born with 2 faces as a result of the kitten producing an excess of the protein Sonic Hedgehog. I'm not kidding, that's actually what that protein's called, while they're in the womb. This protein is responsible for the formation of the skull and face during the embryonic stage of development. 3-headed froggy. Frogs are already quite intriguing, but this 3-headed and 6-legged frog made it to the headlines when it was found by a 4-year-old student in Weston, England. The children at the school named it Froggy. A lot of people came to see the 3-headed beast, and in the excitement and crowd, the cheeky frog managed to escape. The mutation could have been caused by a genetic defect or a parasite, or that pollution could have upset the frog's hormones while it was developing. 2-headed snake. I know Froggy was pretty gnarly, but not as gnarly as a 2-headed snake. A snake breeder in Florida got a shocking surprise when they got a 2-headed boa snake. Most of the 2-headed animals share the same organs, but upon performing X-ray on this 2-week-old boa, the vet was shocked to see that this snake had 2 separate hearts. Having 2 separate hearts is extremely rare in these reptiles, according to the vet. 4-legged snake. You've seen a 2-headed snake, but how about imagining that snake being able to grow 4 legs as well? Yeah, now that'd be the stuff of nightmares. That's why we like to keep our 2-headed and 4-legged snakes totally separate and miles apart. This weird serpent was found in Vientiane, Laos, outside a building. It does not look like a lizard, and it's slithering like a snake, but has 4 limbs. Is it a hybrid between a lizard and a snake? Or is it a weird mutation in snakes? Let us know in the comments below. Fox-human. I'm sure you've heard about the fox-human hybrid creature from Pakistan. It's believed that this creature can foretell the future and give some good advice. But the only downside is that it is no creature, but a man dressed as one who sits inside a wooden canopy in a small room called Mumtaz Mahal. The person posing to be a fox is 33-year-old Murad Ali, who's been doing it for the past 2 decades. Before Murad, his father inherited the role and passed away 16 years ago. It is believed that Mumtaz Mahal gets hundreds of visitors who come just to see a human fox, especially women and children, who are especially keenly interested in this character. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.